All right, y'all. We're back again for another episode of the We're Getting Rowdy podcast. As you know, I'm Tyler McBee,
I'm Cooper Bell.
and we're here to bring you you could say, a very eventful week here on Rocky Top. Let's start out with some of the, you could say, the best news. Vols take the series against Florida. Always love beating the Gators. And, I mean, we ended up winning the series 2-1. Would have loved to see us bust out the brooms for the sweep. But I mean, winning Friday and Saturday was crucial. Not to mention, they said this was the first time since 1970 the Vols have won their first four SEC like series at that point. So that's an impressive stat, and I'm impressed with what Vitello's done. That Friday game, I saw bits and pieces of it, but oh my gosh, that rally in the Saturday game was so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean it was crazy. It was just a great game. It's like you said, that rally was amazing. I checked the score and I saw that it was like, what was it, like 4-0 or something
Yeah,
like that. And then we had like a 5-run sixth inning or something like that. We had a huge inning. I can't remember which inning it was. And
yeah,
then
it
I
was
was
in
just
the sixth. I think it was 5 runs off with 4 home runs. I think
yeah.
and was something like that.
Yeah, so I mean, I was excited to see that, and I can't remember who came out and said it, but one of the players came out and said, "It doesn't matter how, but we will get it done." They're just talking because I can't remember which game it was,
I think it
but
was
Florida,
Ferguson who
yeah,
said that.
Florida actually had more hits than we did, but yet we still won. So um, they, even if it seems that, they're down and out and, they're not going to be able to do much, they still find a way to come back and, win those tough games. And, yesterday's game, well, Sunday's game, that one was a tough one to drop, but it's like you and I were talking before we started recording. We saw Florida fans on Twitter saying, we got the last laugh and blah, 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 blah. But everybody's like, no, you didn't. Y'all lost the series.
Yeah, and then it's like you can't really say much. Okay, yeah, you got one, but that would be like if like in years past, I just refer back to like when I'm just using Kentucky as an example when they would beat us at Rupp and in the SEC tourney, but we got you in TBA, but they still won more times at that point.
Yeah,
So they would technically have the bragging rights that year. So
yeah,
I just don't get it. But also credit to Max Ferguson, that one like from out in left field, just showing his arm strength and talent to get it to home to help get that one guy out. And like even like Ferguson, I like what he said. He said, I know I may not be the fastest guy at my position in the SEC. I may not have the best arm strength at my position out of all the guys in the SEC, but I'm going to still work hard to prove myself and show that I can still get it done. And you love attitudes like that because he's never going to give up. And Max Ferguson, in my opinion, is one of the best and most consistent players on this baseball team.
I completely agree. I mean, really, that's the attitude of everybody on this team. They may not be the best. They may not be the best at their position in the SEC, um, but that doesn't matter to them. They're still going to go out. They're still going to go out and play ball. They're still going to find ways to win. And I mean, we've seen that time and time again with this baseball team. They'll be down, 4-0, 3-0, you know, in the fourth or fifth inning, and then the next thing you know, you look and we're up like 8-3 or 7-4. They find ways to win and they find ways to get themselves out of those bad situations that they put themselves in. And to me, that speaks volumes about the team. And Coach Vitello, he's doing a great job. Can't speak enough about him. Hope we can pay him.
I agree. And then, there I will just say this though. Sometimes it's you can come out of those rallies depending on who you're facing, like those deficits. but there are certain teams you cannot let yourself. We know you cannot let yourself get down like 4 or 5 runs early. Otherwise, it's going to be harder to claw like back out on. And speaking of a team that would be harder to claw back out on, big series this coming weekend. Vandy for we're number 1 and 2 in the SEC at this point. Vandy just dropped a series against Georgia, which to me makes me more scared just because they're going to want to rally back at that point. I rather would have them won that series, come in cocky and overconfident, and maybe let us catch them by surprise. We really have to come out because, like you and me had discussed, that first game when they dropped like 14-2, Kumar Rocker was pitching that one. And Kumar Rocker is probably the best, if one of the best, if not the best pitchers in college baseball right now. And letting up like something like that, he's going to want to rally back. And that's looking kind of scary for us that night he's going to pitch. But, we got Western Carolina, small little tune-up game to get ready for them. We'll just see what Vitello and the boys can do.
Yeah, this series against Vanderbilt, I think it's going to be a very interesting series to watch. I mean, who knows? Maybe Vanderbilt is hitting that midseason slump that some teams seem to get, and it's definitely going to be interesting to watch. But with the way Tennessee is playing, has been playing this season, we're not going to go in and surprise anybody. Like, they know who we are. They know that we're going to come in, we're going to play some good baseball, and we're going to put up a fight. So, I mean, it's not like we can go in and surprise anybody anymore. So, I mean, Vanderbilt's going to be on their A game this series. And, but I'm excited to see how it plays out. And like I said, who knows, maybe Vanderbilt's just hitting like a midseason slump. And hopefully they're still in that slump against us. One can only hope. And but yeah, just I expect these games to actually be very low scoring, especially with Kumar on the mound. He's probably the best pitcher in college baseball right now. So I mean, you have to watch out for him. They just have power everywhere. So this is going to be a very, like I've been saying, very, very interesting series to watch, and I hope that we can pull out the series win.
Yeah, and no matter what, win or lose, it will not shock me for whoever wins it if they only win the series 2-1 at that point. Like, if they don't outright sweep, it won't shock me if it comes down to Sunday's game to decide who wins the series, just because of how well these teams do, and based on how each team's gonna stack each day with like their pitchers. Like, are they gonna roll with the same ways, or are they going to try to throw one of the teams off and like make us expect, let's say, Rocker coming out on Friday, but instead they'll throw him out like on a Saturday or Sunday, something like that. Only time will tell. And who knows, we might have to have some trickery in there with stuff like that just to try to see if we can throw them off a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see us trying to throw a wrench in things, but I mean, you're always going to put your best guys out there on the mound, so I don't expect us to change up the pitching rotation at all, at least with our starting guys.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not what I meant by that. I meant like if one of our usual like starting guys on a Saturday, maybe let him start like the Friday one.
Oh, yeah.
Like just switch that up so they don't know which starter like
Oh,
to
yeah.
expect on which day. So if, like I said, if everybody usually sees Rocker on a Friday, maybe let him start if Vandy throws him in on like Saturday as the starter instead, just to try to mix it up that way for it.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. But yeah, I mean, I can see that. But it really, all I have to say about it right now is it's going to be very, very, very interesting series to watch. And this is this is a series where you can't really give a you can't really give a prediction on what it's going to be like. Who's going to win the series, and if they're going to get swept or, like you said, win 2-1. Both teams are just very, very good. Vanderbilt, like we said, did have that slip up where they lost to Georgia, lost that series to Georgia. And I mean, the games that they lost weren't even close. I mean, it's like we said, 14-2 on Friday and
9-1 on Sunday.
Yeah, 9-1 on Sunday. So, it's not like it was a close series, but even I mean that doesn't really matter. It's in the rearview mirror for them. It's in the rearview mirror for us. So I mean, the guys have to come out expecting nothing but Vandy's best. So I really can't give a prediction right now. The Vol side of me wants to say that we win the series, but the logical side of me says they're just. I mean, I can honestly see it going either way.
Yeah, like the biased Vol side of me says we're gonna win it, but then the logical side of me is saying this may be our first series loss for the season at that point. And again, like sometimes you and me have all and a lot of our friends have all talked about what would consider a quality loss. I would consider this a quality loss to that Vanderbilt team at that point, just with how good they are.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we say, you don't want to have any moral victories or participation trophy, but Vandy, they're one of these storied programs in college baseball, and you're happy if you can win the series, which I hope we can. I mean, you're even happy if you can keep it close. But just especially from years past, I mean, I know that we've had some success against Vanderbilt a couple times. We don't know how it was last year because unfortunately the season got canceled. But I believe in one of Coach V's first seasons here, I feel like we actually won the series against Vanderbilt whenever they came to, or at least won one game against them.
I think it was I think we shocked them and got at least one game win out of it. I don't know if it was a series win yet.
But I mean, Vanderbilt, they're Vanderbilt. That's all you can say. And like I said, can't really give a prediction right now.
Yeah, I'm with you, but kind of transitioning to a little bit of a tough news. I mean, well, now it's official. Keon Johnson has declared for the NBA draft and agreed to sign with an agent. So looking at that, and then Yves Pons gave his goodbye. So you had Devontae Gaines, who just committed to George Mason following Kim English. You have Pember, who's now going to UNC Asheville. We said goodbye to Pons for the NBA, and then Keon and Springer. That's 5.
And it was Corey Walker.
And now you got Corey Walker Jr. entering the transfer portal and EJ Anasicki at that point. Very
so
hard off
left on the team.
Yeah, no, like I said, as of right now, scholarship players returning. Josiah, you got Vescovi,
Olivier,
Bailey Jr., Olivier, and Urosh. 5 of the 13. So that says a lot, and we still don't know about Fulke. But good news is at least the roster spots are getting filled up because technically, Justin Powell, the Auburn transfer we talked about, took one, and so did Kennedy Chandler, Jemai Meshack.
Yeah.
Tennessee also so we have now technically we'll have 3 left with a 4th guy that just got added in over the weekend. Another French kid at that point, so maybe we get another flying Frenchman, but played at this Mount Verde Academy in Florida, Quentin Jabunji Iobo. And all I got to say is that's a mouthful of a name.
I can't wait to hear Bob Kessling say that.
Any announcer. But, kid's coming in as a shooting guard, 6'6", 185, very thin. But I got the chance to watch some of his highlight tapes. The freaking vertical and the bounce on this kid is just it's like Barnes just loves to find these guys that feel like they can just jump out of the gym out of like nowhere with just like it almost looks like effortless. And this kid is also a shooter. like I could be like a little off, but I think they said in because he was playing like with their like a little minor league over in France after he had finished up with his Mount Verde Academy. Like he's been training with them, and like in a lot of their games, he's been shooting over 40% from the 3-point arc at that point, and he even did that at Mount Verde. And we need some pure shooters, and you love seeing something like that with this kid.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he's going to be, a guy that you can use really anywhere. Um, he'll definitely have to put on some weight if he wants to have kind of like the same paint presence that Eve had, especially in the SEC. But I mean, it's nice. I mean, looking at it now, I mean, next year's team, the shooters that we're going to have Quentin, whatever his name is, I can't pronounce it. Uh, uh, Guy from Auburn, his name always slips.
Justin Powell. So
Justin
Quentin
Powell, and then
Powell,
Kennedy Chandler,
Kennedy Chandler, yeah.
and Santi. So,
And even you can say Victor Bailey. He can be a shooter as well.
So I mean, we're gonna have some pretty good shooters on the team next year. And whenever I first heard about the EJ Anasicki news, my mind automatically went to, well, great, now we don't have post presence. But then I started thinking, I was thinking, maybe he knows something that we don't know as fans yet. Maybe maybe there's maybe within the program they feel strongly that they're going to get Walker Kessler.
They could. And then there's also talk, I think it's that Justin like Huntley or that like Hunt or Hatfield, like the kid who's like the 2022 prospect, but who might be reclassifying, and he's like a 6'11", 6'10", 6'11" player. Plus, with it looks like the chance that Tennessee hires the it's Huntley Hatfield is the kid. He's a power forward. Brandon Huntley Hatfield. I'm sorry, I don't know why, but then I was thinking a different name. But yeah, a kid who might reclassify, 6'9", 230 right now. That could be a big post presence for us. Walker Kessler could be too, but who?
And also, we haven't heard from Folke yet. He hasn't made his decision.
Yeah, but Folke's won't count towards the scholarship numbers this year, just because he's technically given a free one by the NCAA. Just that makes it a little bit easier at that point to work with the scholarship numbers.
But no, I mean, this basketball team, it's going to be, we've lost some pieces, but it's definitely going to be interesting to watch. Because, I mean, if you look at it, the guys that we've lost really didn't have much playing time. So it's not like besides EJ Anasicki, who transferred in from Sacred Heart, where he had, a lot of playing time. But it's not like we're losing a lot of, besides Keon and Jaden and Eve. But, I mean, they declare for the draft. It's not like, we lost them to another school. But, I mean, EJ, Devontae, and Drew, I mean, it's not like we're losing workhorses of the team. It's not like we're losing, 75% of our offensive production. We're losing like 0.01% of our offensive production. I mean, Drew only had like 4 points on the season. Something like he didn't even reach double figures. Same thing with Ticket. And I mean, I'm pretty sure EJ reached double digits, but if he did, he wasn't over by much.
I think he was at average, like it was only like 9 minutes with like right around like 9 points like in total or something like that.
Yeah, so I mean, EJ Anasicki is not who we thought he was.
But you got to look though, coming from Sacred Heart, trying to step into an SEC, totally different though too.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, it's totally different, but also, to me, it just seemed like SEC pace was a little bit too fast for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, all this to say is we're not missing any good defensive presence or an offensive presence. If anything, I loved Drew. I loved Ticket and, EJ, physical guy. But if anything, those three guys transferring can open up more scholarship spots to, people that could actually, um, you know, do something for the team. And I know that sounds harsh, but I mean, if you look at the numbers, I mean, they from this past season, they really didn't see the court that much. So I hope that we can see these scholarship positions that uh, go to somewhere that will actually benefit the team, in ways that we can see, not just in practice. And the same thing with Corey Walker. Um, I'm sad that we never got to see what he would become here under Barnes, but also at the same time, I mean, um, maybe maybe Barnes. You never know what's going on internally. It's the way with scholarships, with college football work. I mean, some player might decommit because a coach told him, "Hey, this guy's coming in, so you're probably not going to be seeing the field that much."
Yeah.
Barnes could have said that to Corey, like we said. Maybe there's some inside information inside the program that we don't know about players transferring in, or players that we might have signing. So you never know, but I'm excited to see how this team takes shape over the next few months.
Same. And then, yeah, there's also news that I forgot who we had hired. Like, we had filled one of the assistant roles, but the next one, it's looking like to be the Marquette coach, like one of his assistants from there. And that was actually the other guy I was trying to think of, a kid who decommitted from Marquette, a Charlotte, North Carolina boy, Jonas Iudo, 6'11", 215-pound center at that point. So, that could be somebody Tennessee looks to bring in to help out, just because we really need post players at this point. And I'm just ready to see what happens with the rest of the roster movement. Yeah, you hate to see like a lot of guys. Like, I was ready to see, because you and me had talked about, we were ready to see Corey Walker next year. We knew beginning of the season, he was dealing like with injuries, and like I think he had to sit out because of COVID stuff for a while. So he missed about a month and a half of practice, and we were already like starting to get deep into games. And it, like Barnes says, if you don't have the schemes down as a bigger post guy, it's kind of harder for you to get in knowing those assignments. Corey was behind, but I wish those guys nothing but the best.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we wish them nothing but the best. Hope they're able to contribute to the other teams. But going back to Corey Walker, I mean, yeah, it's like you said, he was very behind, and knowing that we have Urosh and Olivier, unless Corey Walker was to really hit the gym hard this summer and really study his playbook, I mean, there really is no way to tell if he was going to be the impact player that we all thought he was going to be able to be. And that it sucks for him, because I mean, he was a great player, in high school.
Top
But I mean,
100
that just
player.
shows you how big of a difference injuries and this year coronavirus, uh, how big of a difference it makes in a player's progression, and you know and just where they stand with the team. So, like I said, I'm sorry to see him go. Wish we could have seen what he was, but this opens up the spot for a new guy to get his chance.
Yep. And now to kind of transition a little bit to more now some with the football stuff. We'll save some of the recruiting stuff for last. That's been coming up. But Heupel and them actually had an open practice to the fans this past Saturday, which I was a huge fan of. It gave like us a chance to like and allow fans. Like, I mean, you and me have pretty much bought into what Heupel's selling in
Yeah.
that staff, because from what we've seen and from what we hear from the players. But like everybody else who doesn't follow it as heavy on social media, like us and a few of our friends, it allows them to see it and actually be able to buy in at that point. And from what I saw from the practice, I'm pretty impressed. And like, there's several players that stood out to me. Like, I'm not talking like across the whole board, but I'm not talking like veterans and just the newcomers. For me, just with the newcomers, little Jalen Wright out of the running back out of North Carolina is proven he is the fastest running back on this roster. He's even faster than what Eric Gray was, and we knew Eric Gray was fast. And then out of all the receivers, even though I don't think he's going to be a huge impact guy like, freshman all SEC, freshman All-American, there's one receiver who has really stood out to me so far, especially from what I saw him do at the open practice, and that's Walker Merrill. That is one athletic kid.
Yeah, I mean, Walker Merrill, I mean, he was really good from the highlights that I saw from him. And it's just a lot of the new guys that we haven't really gotten to see much of, and some of the early enrollees, I mean, they, it really looks like they're fitting in nicely into Coach Hype's program. And another guy that I'm very, very, very excited to watch for the rest of the spring and during fall camp, D. Beckwith.
Yeah, that dude's a monster.
I don't know if you saw that run that he had going on the sideline, but I mean, he was a beast. He was breaking tackles left and right, and I saw some comments, people that just want to, make everything into a negative. They're like, well, that's piss poor tackling, or like, oh, like that's not good form tackling. But at the same time, I mean, if you look at the defenders, I mean, they were getting low. I mean, for the most part, it seemed like it was, at least from the angle that the video was, it seemed like it was okay tackling. I'm not saying it was great. I mean, there definitely were some guys that could have gotten lower, could have gone with a better angle, and things like that. But still, a guy like D. Beckwith,
who's like 6'5", 230.
Yeah, and I mean, whenever he's running full speed at you, he is going to be hard to tackle. I mean, he is going to be hard to get that good angle on. He's going to be hard to, stop. So I mean, and we all saw that goal line run that he had as well. So I mean, I feel like he's going to be, our power back, short yardage situation type of guy. The guy that we give the ball to on the goal line. He kind of reminded me of Jalen Hurd, maybe not as powerful as Jalen Hurd was, but, the way he was able to bounce it outside and make guys miss and, punish a few guys, just very reminiscent of Jalen Hurd.
Yeah, and I mean, just like you said, it's like he's the bigger guy. It's like, look at Derrick Henry. Look how many people get low on him but still miss. Are you going to say those NFL guys don't know how to tackle then?
Now, I'm not comparing D. Beckwith to Derrick Henry.
No, but you get what I'm
saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I'm saying it's like just a back that size. Sometimes you can get the right form going in on them, but like you said, when they're running at you full speed,
and
it's going to be hard to bring them
your
down.
Face mask. Yeah, it's hard to do much.
Yeah, and then hard to do. Yeah, so I agree. Deep from the offensive side, and from the defensive side, the guys who stood out, Byron Young, the JUCO transfer, he was running with the ones just because Tyler Barron was a little limited. Then, of course, Tamarian McDonald has really been impressing me.
Martavis French.
Then, French was been the suspended.
Wait, well then which one though? I guess it
was Bryson Easton.
Bryson. As soon as I said Martavis French, I knew that he had been suspended, but I knew it was one of the white heaven trio.
French and McDonald were the three, and yet Easton's been helping like with that hybrid D-line outside linebacker as well. And I'll tell you who really impressed me, Christian Charles, the kid who played quarterback in high school and is now looking like he's fitting in as a defensive back. I mean, he's a freak athlete. How many kids can really pull down a one-handed interception? Yes, it's at practice, but still, you don't see that a lot unless the kid's a freak athlete.
Yeah, no, you don't see it a lot. And I mean, right now, my concern with the defense is our middle linebackers. That's the position we're most thin at right now. During the practice, you saw a lot of big runs up the middle. Now, granted, part of that's the defensive line, but still you need that linebacker support right there. But, if we can get Aaron Willis back for fall camp, and get a couple of guys back,
Get
and
French back because I
yeah,
think French will really step up.
yeah, if we can get them back, and then even though it's not looking too likely, maybe Henry T will stay and help Bolton down the linebacker position, and also I saw this. I was watching. I can't remember which video it was I was watching on YouTube. It may have been episode 2 of like the Juice, the little series that
The
Walker
family
Balls.
episode.
Yeah. But I saw a video posted by Casey Funderburg, who was walking around campus with Quavaris Crouch doing an interview. And I looked at the update date and I was like, oh, it's probably, like a year ago or something. It was 3 days ago, back last week whenever I watched it. So, maybe Quavaris is staying. Who knows? But that's definitely something to keep your eye on. But yeah, I mean, going back middle, middle of the field with our linebackers, that's my biggest area of concern right now. Defensive line, I mean, they look fast, they look physical. They're really exploding off the line. So you like to see that. And,
Got to thank
I really,
Garner for that.
yeah, yeah. And, our secondary, especially our safeties, they looked good. Jalen McCullough,
Trayvon Flowers.
Flowers,
like, again, this could be biased, but I saw somebody say it, and I agree. If the media will give Flowers the attention like that he really deserves, that kid could deserve an All-American status based on what he can do.
I mean, he's really is. He's very good. And then cornerbacks. I mean, we all know what Alontae Taylor is. I mean, if he wants to be, he can be a shutdown corner. And then you got guys battling out there for a starting role. Alongside Alontae and in the slot. At the nickel position, but. There's a lot of good competition going on the defense, and you love to see it. But like I said, hopefully we see progression from middle linebackers.
Yeah, I can agree, but I mean, like I said, it's just always nice seeing like what Heupel and them are doing. They really want to get the fans engaged too, which is something you love to see. But yeah, then kind of transition a little bit. Seems like might be some decent recruiting news for UT football, to where a few in-state boys might be jumping in the fold very soon. Coming up this Friday, I think that's the 16th, the Wade twins, Keaton and Destin Wade, are set to announce their decision. Destin is listed as an athlete, can also play quarterback, 6'3", 205. And then his brother Keaton, 6'4", about 225-pound linebacker, both out of like the Spring Hill, Tennessee area. So,
my hometown.
Would hope we can get these boys here. And if they're from your hometown, you've probably seen these guys in action before and know they are both literally good athletes, like from what I've seen.
Yeah, they're insane. Yeah. They're insane. Their high school is probably, 15 minutes down the road from me. I hope we can get those guys. They're really good. And if we can get both of them, that would just be amazing. It'd really help tighten down the linebacker spot, and then whichever one's the quarterback / athlete, I always get them mixed up. But if they can come in, I doubt they would stay a quarterback if they come here. I have a feeling that Coach Heupel would probably move them to, somewhere. My guess would be corner or receiver.
I could see receiver because Destin has worked with receiver before.
Yeah, so I can see them switching there, but it's going to be interesting to see where they watch, and it's like I said last episode. If they can commit, if they commit here, maybe that's the push that the other in-state guys need. That get the ball rolling of having guys commit here and bring back UT to its old form of glory. Even though, like we talked about last episode, I never really got to experience the form of glory, and neither have the people that are committing. They haven't gotten to experience it. So maybe they're wanting, maybe they're thinking, hey, let's bring it back. Tennessee is a power. Ooh, they're they're a storied college. They're a household name. So let's bring them back to what they used to be. So hopefully that's what those guys are thinking. And maybe the Wade twins will just be that first little push that the rest of the guys need to start coming to UT and get this place turned around.
I can agree on from what I've heard from like Austin Price talking to these guys, they're very influential kids. Like they're really tight with a lot of the other in-state boys.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all the in-state recruits right now, like the top guys, have a group chat together.
Yeah, I think they do. And then another kid to keep an eye on, even though he's more of an underrated guy from Riverdale High School in Murfreesboro, outside linebacker, but will probably play inside at the college level. Elijah Herring, listed at 6'2", 225, recently got 2 crystal balls to Tennessee. And yeah, crystal balls don't really mean anything until because anybody can put them in of these analysts at any point but one name that stuck out when he put the crystal ball in that made me think maybe something's up, Ryan Callahan, because as well as I do, Callahan does not really put them in early at all unless he feels like he knows something at that point. And then even Steve Wiltfong crystal balled him. I see Wiltfong putting him in all the time though, so I don't always buy into his. But when it's somebody close and right for that school puts it in, especially when they usually hold off until last minute, that makes me think something. And something about Elijah, his younger brother Caleb is right now a 2023 prospect, listed as the 56th player in the nation, the number 1 player in the state of Tennessee. So who knows that if we get Elijah, that could be a good push for Caleb. And the last thing I read up on was that Elijah said every day he's hearing from Coach Brian Jean Mary and Coach Heupel, really selling Tennessee, and he's starting to love this staff even more. So that could be another kid who jumps in the boat early, and he's really close with the Wade twins too. So we could potentially see 3 in-state boys jump in and then calling up everybody else like, come on, boys, let's all go to Rocky Top.
Yeah, I mean, you would love to see it. And, one of Coach Heupel's biggest concerns, at least the fans' biggest concerns for him and his staff coming in, was whether or not they'll be able to recruit, or recruit effectively, I should say. Even though the Wade twins haven't committed yet, and even though we don't really have any guys committed right now, who knows? Maybe we have something big coming. And to me, it just speaks volumes that a staff has been in place for only 2 months, and we have all these very talented guys that are saying such good things about the staff. To me, that speaks volumes about it. And then that, like we talked about last week, can't remember his name, but the nation's top prospect for 2022, he said he would not be surprised if, here in a couple of years, if we saw, Tennessee playing in the SEC championship or even playing for a playoff spot. So to me, I mean, if they're able to already sell recruits on that, they've been here for 2 months, that speaks huge volumes for Coach Hype and the staff, and the type of job that they're already doing and the type of culture that they're wanting to put in place here. And it really, really makes me excited for the future. And I remember whenever Coach Hype was first hired, people were just saying, oh, he's like a placeholder coach. He's the coach that we're going to have, until we find out what the NCAA sanctions are. And then he's going to be that coach to get us out of it. And then, then we'll hire a big time coach. But, I'm thinking right now, I mean, Coach Heupel could be that big time coach that we've been waiting for. Maybe he's that diamond in the rough hire that, that nobody saw coming. So I mean, I'm bought in, and I knew I told myself, do not get bought in until you start seeing results. Don't get your heart broken. But I'm fully bought in right now. And until I see something that makes me wary a little bit, I'm all in. And I'm just so excited to see what Coach Heupel can do. And this is the first guy that we've seen in a while. It seems like he is truly happy to be here, and that and that he really truly does care about those guys in the locker room. Like the previous staff, um, it's like we've said multiple times, those guys just didn't seem like they were having fun. To me, it looked like the previous staff took the joy out of it. And, some players, current and former guys, have, said some pretty revealing things about the former staff, and even some coaches. Some of Pruitt's old coaches have said some very revealing things about the way he runs a locker room and the way he coaches and just how he treats the other guys. So, I mean, really, since Philip Fulmer, this really seems like the first guy that really has truly cared about those guys in the locker room.
Yeah, I can agree 100% with that. And it's just nice. And I know a lot of fans were like you, didn't want to buy in. I was going to, just because I'm always wanting to buy in and give a coach, show like I'm going to give them like my all and give them a chance. And what makes it easier is hearing what the players have to say. Everybody could be like, oh, well, they're just saying that so the coach doesn't get them. Well, look at the way they say it. Look at their body language from it too. You can read it from that. When you can tell they're all like smiles and everything out there. Like the fact that, a lot of these people like it where Heupel allows like Sterl the Pearl to come help with some practices, get like music going in between periods, let the guys have a little, like, he knows when they need like when it's in their practice period, it's time for them to, they all know, put their helmets on, get to work. But when they have like, the quick, like little, I've seen like a 5-minute like water break period and like help stretch out and like to talk to their coaches. When you can see some of the guys just able to like vibe to the music, you just love seeing that attitude because the coaches know how to mix work and fun in there.
Yeah. This coaching staff, to me, it seems like they've really brought the energy back to UT football. And I just, especially if you haven't gotten a chance to, anybody that's watching, if you haven't gotten a chance to watch, the little series that Tennessee football has been putting out on YouTube called The Juice, I highly recommend it.
Same.
Especially the second episode where they really, talk about family and, how that's such a cliche thing to say about football, and, a football team, but the way that Coach Heupel was talking about it, I can't really, I don't feel like, if I remember the video correctly, I don't think he never called the football team a family. He called it a brotherhood.
He did.
And so to me, that's big. But seeing the fact that, the coaches are getting their families involved with it. I mean, Coach Heupel, it seemed like he brought everybody to one practice and, showed off, his whole entire family, to the players. And then, you have the coaching staff bringing in and, showing the players their kids and their spouses and, all that. I feel like there's a certain degree of trust that is being earned right now, between the guys and between the coaches, really between everybody, that we have not seen in a long, long, long time.
Yeah. And my last thing that I have, then I'll be like, I have nothing else, is like what I also noticed from the Jews. If you look at all the VFLs, they also feature in their former players that Heupel has literally shown them, come back whenever you want.
Yep.
Just shoot me a text. It's like, hey, I'm in town. Is it cool if I stop by at that point? Just so we know you're in town, you want to come by. Especially right now, they're still having to follow COVID protocols just so they can
get it approved for these guys to come in, but you just love seeing that. And like I think former Vol tight end Chris Brown said it the best, He was a class of '04 signee to come to Rocky Top. He's still got a group chat with guys like Robert Ayers, Arian Foster, like all of them, like Inky Johnson. They're all in a group chat together, just shooting each other messages, checking in on each other, just making sure they're all doing well. And like he said, that's the brotherhood that he sees Heupel's instilling in these kids, and that's what you love to see the most.
Yeah, that's what you love to see, and it just it does me it does the fan inside of you so good to see these guys having fun, enjoying themselves, and falling back in love with football. Especially towards the end of last season. I mean, just watching their body language didn't even seem like they wanted to be out there. They'd have a play go right for them, and you didn't see emotion. I mean, I remember watching the Florida game, and I mean that was a good game. All the way up until about halfway through the third quarter. It was a really good game, and there'd be a big sack or a big hit or a big play on offense, and you look over at the sideline, nothing, no juice, no emotion, nothing at all, and just seeing the guys come back and have that emotion, falling back in love and just having a good time. It makes me happy seeing the guys have fun and just enjoying themselves, and the coaching staff going out there and cutting up with the guys and yet still being serious at the same time. It really does feel like that it really does feel like that Coach Heupel is the guy that we need right now.
Yep. I can 100% agree with that. But I was going to say that's about all I've got for
That's all I've got
today. But yeah, we'll definitely bring more news as it comes out, as spring practice is coming to a close in reality.
Yep. And
a week
hopefully
from
we
Saturday, the orange and white game.
Yep.
Will be coming up. So that's going to be something good for, I think, the fans. But yeah, other than that, we'll bring news as it comes out with everything.
Hopefully we have good news next week about the Wade twins.
Hopefully we'll have good news about the Vandy series, and hopefully we can get more good news about the basketball roster.
Yep.
But until then, hopefully everybody has a great Big Orange week. And as always, go Vols.
Go Vols.